We San Franciscans live in a pretty urban environment, but our city is also very green, and red, and yellow, and purple. The city is quickly filling with gardens, tightly squeezed into the most unusual spaces.
We're on the roof of Blythe Memorial Church in the Tenderloin in San Francisco. This idea has been floating around that we could use this roof space on all these buildings in San Francisco in order to plant these gardens. And so this was a demonstration of that it's possible. The food that's grown in this garden on the roof goes back down to the basement. The soup kitchen cooks lunch and dinner every day.
We are at the Life Learning Academy Charter School Garden here on Treasure Island. We have over 25 raised beds, probably about 15 fruit trees, and 50 perennials in the ground. And it's a wonderful garden where teens work in the garden and produce food, both for them to take home and to eat in the school during lunch.
Garden for the Environment is San Francisco's teaching garden. It's been here for 20 years. We want San Franciscans to get their hands dirty.
San Francisco recently passed a new ordinance that changes the zoning laws here in the city. And what it does is two things. It makes clear that gardens are welcome in all parts of the city. So no matter where you are, what kind of zone, whether it's industrial, commercial, residential, gardens are now welcome throughout the city so long as they're less than 1 acre in size. And the second thing it does, which is the more forward-thinking aspect, is gardeners are allowed to sell what they grow, no matter where they grow it, which is a change. Urban agriculture also encompasses animal husbandry, so raising animals, chickens, some people have goats, bees is another popular aspect of urban agriculture.
The new ordinance appears to be working to the benefit of all city residents.
You get less runoff of the water, so you get less of the pollutants in the streets going into our local oceans. And then you also, just having more of this carbon sequestration through the plants is what you're getting as a result.
We're growing food organically, meaning we're not using harmful chemicals.
It is often said that the average food miles of a single American meal travel 1,500 miles from farm to table. Well, if you can make that 1,500 inches from your backyard to your dinner table, it's a big difference in the amount of fuel that was used in the distribution of that food.
Not only is urban farming greening the city, it's teaching life lessons as well.
It gets young people, especially, involved in growing food and being connected more with their food, which means they're more apt to make healthy choices when they're ordering food or cooking it themselves.
The benefits of growing food at home are that you have a relationship with what appears on your meal. When it takes us 180 days to bring a carrot from the garden into the table, when we battle with slugs and snails, and then we see what we can grow, we have that much deeper of an appreciation for the food that we buy at the grocery store and the hard work that farmers are doing to bring us that delicious food.
So find a bit of soil, grab a hoe, plant some seeds, and you just might sow some hope for a greener tomorrow.
About 1.5 billion people on Earth depend on the sea for their primary source of protein. I'm not going to go to those people and tell them to stop eating fish. But I do believe that we as consumers have the responsibility to confront the footprint that our consumer habits are having on our planet. And when it comes to looking at seafood and fish, a lot of the things that we eat and are used to eating are really doing terrible damage to the earth and to the ocean.
As a consumer buying seafood, decisions can be difficult. What's sustainable? What's not? We decided to go to the experts. Greenpeace has been working on sustainable seafood since the 1970s, and the Monterey Bay Aquarium has distributed 40 million of their Seafood Watch cards over the past 12 years.
We try to spend most of our energy not in direct consumer education, talking to people about good fish, bad fish, better fish, but doing that kind of interaction with someone that doesn't buy a pound of fish a week, that buys 100,000 pounds of fish a week.
Targeting the major suppliers of seafood seems to be working.
The biggest change we've seen just over the past few years is major retailers and food service and restaurateurs making changes and sustainable seafood commitments in their areas. It's become part of their overarching corporate sustainability initiative, and it's tremendous because they've made commitments to source from environmentally responsible fisheries and fish farming operations.
Seafood became a focus for the company about, I'd say, 5 or 6 years ago. It took some time and some study and some understanding to build our awareness and to get a better idea of the right path to take and the things that we should be doing. We first have to identify where sourcing of sustainable species and sustainable fisheries, fisheries that might be undergoing improvements. That's taken some time.
The 2011 Cutting Away the Oceans rankings resulted in Safeway taking the top spot out of the 20 retailers that were analyzed. And a lot of people found this really surprising. I ran Safeway through the methodology 3 different times to make sure that those numbers were right.
We don't practice our programs to please Greenpeace. We do it for ourselves and for our customers. Getting a #1 rating from Greenpeace is very nice, and we really appreciate that. We recognize we have a long ways to go also.
Am I surprised? I guess not really. But I also think that they're not done. I think that we're going to see some more impressive stuff from them.
Safeway may have a long way to go, but so do individual consumers. We need to ask the right questions.
Just ask, is it farmed or wild, and where is it from? And then you could use your app on your iPhone or your Droid, or you could use your Seafood Watch Pocket Guide to figure out if it's sustainable or not. But do ask questions, because even if you don't get an answer that you're looking for, at least you're sending a message to the business that this is important to us as a consumer, and you'll be surprised how many of these businesses are responding.
Right now, our appetite for seafood is harming the planet. But we can use that appetite to make the planet healthier too, if we know how to use the tool.
Sea level rise is not exactly breaking news.
Sea level is rising primarily because of global warming. Global warming is warming the water, and warmer water, like most liquids, occupies larger volume than a colder liquid, so as the oceans warm, they expand and sea level goes up. But more significantly, as air temperatures rise, we begin to melt those polar ice caps, the Greenland ice sheet, alpine glaciers. There's more water entering the ocean, so sea level rises. So the global average sea level has been going up, but that varies from place to place.
In the past few decades, sea levels have actually been falling in the San Francisco Bay, but that's about to change.
Besides this large-scale global warming, we have a shorter term PDO, or Pacific Decadal Oscillation, here in the North Pacific that affects the way that bodies of cold water move back and forth between the East and the West Pacific. And we've been in a phase for several decades now where the temperature of the water being lower in the East Pacific, and that's our side of the Pacific, causes our sea level to be lower off the coast of North America, whereas it's higher on the other side of the Pacific. But now the oscillation means this goes back and forth. The oscillation's swinging the other way.
What's a little sea level rise? Well, experts say that levels could rise as much as 14 inches by 2050. That could mean bad news for low-lying areas around the bay, wetlands, islands such as Alameda, and more.
Look at where our airports, 2 major airports, are located in Oakland, San Francisco. Over the next few decades, we'll see some of those land masses essentially becoming submerged.
Many officials would like to see restrictions on developing low-lying areas around the bay, but decisions have yet to be made. Understanding complex climate patterns will help us plan for the future.